Welcome to Pillow Talk Dreams, where every night becomes a story and every story leads you to peace. If you love calm voices, gentle journeys, and stories that help you drift into dreams, then don't forget to subscribe and let your nights be a little softer. Now close your eyes and let the story begin. The Good News Train. A cozy bedtime story, the sleepless town of Willowmere in the quiet valley of Willowmere. Night always arrived gently. The moon would rise like a lantern hung in the sky. The air would settle into a soft, velvety hush, and the wind would weave through the tall cedar trees like a mother smoothing blankets over a child. Willowmere was the kind of town where mornings smelled of warm bread, afternoons carried the sound of small laughter, and evenings wrapped everything in a peaceful silver glow. And yet, lately, something had changed. People were tired. Not tired in the usual way, this was deeper. Shops closed early, lights stayed dim, and even the cats on the rooftops seemed to move slower than before. It wasn't sadness exactly. It was more like the whole town had forgotten how to rest, forgotten how to dream, forgotten how to breathe in the quiet comfort that once filled every corner. But there was one person who noticed the change more than anyone else. His name was Leo Finch. Leo lived in a small brick home at the edge of Willowmere, behind the post office where he worked. He wasn't a postman, and he didn't drive the big red mail truck. Leo was the gentle soul who sorted letters at night, long after most people had climbed into their beds. He found peace in envelopes, stamps, and soft paper. Letters were full of stories, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, but always human. Leo believed that every letter carried a heartbeat, and in a town that had nearly forgotten how to dream, he kept the rhythm going. But even Leo had started to feel the heaviness creeping in. Nights felt longer, people sounded quieter, and dreams seemed harder to reach. Still, there was something strange, something almost magical that kept happening. Every night just past 3 a.m., Leo would hear it. A sound faint as a whisper and yet unmistakable. A distant train. But there were no train tracks near Willowmere. No stations. No rails running through the valley. And yet Leo heard it always at the same time. A soft, rhythmic rumble, a chime-like whistle, a distant, glowing hum. Some nights he thought it was his imagination. Some nights he thought it was the wind. But on one particular night, everything changed. That night, while sorting letters in the tiny post office, Leo found something unusual, something he had never seen before. Even after 10 years of working with the mail. At the very bottom of the last mailbag was an envelope glowing with a warm golden light. The paper shimmered like sunrise. His name was written on it in elegant loops. For Leo Finch, deliver at once. There was no stamp, no sender, no return address. The envelope felt warm in his hands, like it carried a heartbeat of its own. Leo hesitated for a long moment, listening to the soft ticking of the post office clock. Outside, the world was silent, until the familiar sound rose again from the distant darkness. A train that did not exist. Its whistle curled through the night like a promise. Leo slowly opened the glowing envelope. Inside was a single card that simply read, "Your seat is waiting. Platform Moonlight. 3:03 a.m. The Good News Train." Leo blinked, unsure whether he was awake or dreaming. But when he stepped outside, the air was warm despite the cool night. The moon felt brighter, and somewhere in the valley, the impossible sound of a train grew louder, clearer, closer. And for the first time in a long while, Leo felt something stir gently inside his heart. Something he hadn't felt in months. Hope. He tightened his scarf, held the glowing card close to his chest, and followed the sound into the night. Toward the impossible, toward the unknown, toward the good news train. Leo walked deeper into the night, guided only by moonlight and the faint golden glow coming from the mysterious card in his hand. The streets of Willowmere were empty, still, and wrapped in a sleepy hush. Even the lamps that lined the cobblestone paths seemed dimmer, as if the town itself was holding its breath. The sound of the train grew clearer with each step, steady, rhythmic, impossible. Chuff, 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 it was gentle, like a lullaby echoing across the valley. When Leo reached the town square, he stopped. Willowmere had no station, no platform, no railway tracks, at least not during the day. But tonight, underneath the silver glow of the moon, something astonishing shimmered into view. A long, glowing platform stretched across the empty square. It wasn't built of wood or stone. No, it looked as though it was made of moonbeams, woven into a narrow bridge of light that hovered just a few inches above the ground. The air around it sparkled like soft stardust drifting on a gentle breeze. At the far end of the platform stood a sign. Tall, slender, glowing softly. Platform moonlight departure. 3:03 a.m. Leo stared at it, his breath caught in his throat. This couldn't be real. And yet it was. Then he heard it. A warm, low whistle broke through the silence, wrapping the entire town in a cozy hum. Moments later, the soft, rumbling, glowing train emerged from the shadows of the valley, riding on tracks made entirely of shimmering silver light. It was unlike anything Leo had ever seen. The train was long and elegant, made of deep midnight blue metal that seemed to drink in the moonlight and reflect it back as soothing glimmers. Each window glowed with a soft, golden warmth, as if a tiny sunrise lived inside every compartment. Above the engine, a gentle puff of glowing mist rose like illuminated clouds. The train slowed as it approached platform moonlight. Chuff, chuff, hum, ding, ding. Its bell chimed like wind chimes touched by an angel. When it finally stopped, a door opened with a calm, inviting sigh. A soft ramp of light extended from the entrance to the platform, guiding Leo forward. A voice floated down the steps, warm, musical, and filled with kind reassurance. "Welcome aboard, dear traveler." Leo looked up. At the entrance stood a woman with silver hair cascading like soft threads of starlight. She wore a conductor's coat the color of twilight, with tiny constellations embroidered across the fabric. Her eyes were gentle and bright, holding the kind of peace only found in the quietest dreams. "I've been expecting you," she said with a smile. "My name is Serafina. I am the conductor of the Good News train." Leo stepped forward cautiously. How is this happening? "I don't understand." Serafina nodded, as though she had heard this question many times before. "Most passengers don't understand at first," she replied softly. "But this train comes only to those who need it, and to those who can carry its light forward." Leo held up the glowing card. "This was addressed to me." "Yes," Serafina said, her smile deepening, "because you have a gentle heart, And because the world needs people who know how to find hope even in small things, Leo felt warmth rise in his chest. "Please," Serafina said, stepping aside. "Come aboard. There is much to show you." He took a deep breath and walked up the ramp of light. The moment he stepped inside, the world changed. The air inside the train felt warmer, like stepping into a cozy room after being out in the cold. The floor was carpeted with soft, midnight blue fabric that cushioned every step. Golden lanterns hung from the ceiling, their lights flickering like tiny dancing fireflies. There were compartments on both sides of the hallway, each one glowing faintly, each filled with a gentle hum, as if they held memories inside them. Serafina walked beside him, her steps quiet and graceful. "This train," she explained, "runs on good news. A kind word, a thankful heart, a moment of joy, these are its fuel. Every time someone chooses hope over fear or kindness over silence, the engine brightens." Leo looked around in awe. "It's beautiful." "It is," she agreed. "And tonight it needs your help." "Me," Leo whispered. Serafina stopped at a window and pointed outside. Through the glass, Leo saw something breathtaking. A world made of swirling clouds and soft moonlight, flowing past like silk. The train wasn't just moving across the valley, it was gliding above it, following a ribbon of shimmering sky rails that only appeared in the night. "You were chosen," Serafina said softly, "because your heart knows how to listen. And that is what we will do on this journey, listen to those who need light and carry good news to them." Leo swallowed. "Where are we going?" Serafina smiled. "To those who have forgotten hope, to those who have forgotten rest, to anyone who needs a gentle reminder that they are not alone." The train's whistle sang again, soft, comforting like a lullaby. "Come," Serafina said, opening the door to a glowing compartment. "Your first delivery awaits." Leo stepped inside. The adventure had begun. The compartment Serafina opened was unlike any room Leo had ever stepped into. It felt more like a floating memory than a physical space. Soft golden mist curled along the walls, drifting like warm breath in the winter air. The seats were plush and wrapped in fabric that shimmered between deep violet and warm amber, depending on how the lantern light touched them. A small table stood in the center of the room. On it rested a single envelope sealed with a wax symbol shaped like a tiny sunrise. Leo approached it slowly, his heart beating with a gentle anticipation. "This," Serafina said, her voice almost musical, "is your first delivery." Leo picked up the envelope. It was warm, almost alive. He felt a pulse through his fingertips, gentle and reassuring. "Where does it go?" he asked. Serafina stepped beside the window. With a sweep of her hand, the mist cleared, revealing a scene outside, a distant town nestled below soft clouds. Lights glowed faintly in homes tucked along a winding river, but one window shone brighter than the rest. "That light," Serafina said softly, "belongs to Clara Maywell, a baker in the town of Briar Glen." Leo watched the window flicker in the darkness. "She has been awake night after night," Serafina continued. "She worries that her bakery is failing, that she is not enough, that she is alone." Leo's heart softened. He knew that feeling well. "What's inside the envelope?" he asked. "Good news," Serafina replied with a smile. "The kind she needs most." She placed a gentle hand over his. "Go ahead, deliver it." Before Leo could ask how, the compartment dissolved into a swirl of light, warm, soft, as gentle as slipping into a dream. In a blink, Leo was standing in front of a small bakery window. The sign read, "Maywell's Morning Hearth, closed for the night." Inside, Clara sat at a wooden table, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea long gone cold. Her eyes were heavy, her shoulders slumped. The glow from a single lantern lit her face, revealing the quiet exhaustion of someone who had been trying far too hard for far too long. Leo approached the door even though he wasn't sure she could see him. As he reached the entrance, the envelope in his hand began to glow brighter, soft golden waves pulsing gently outward. The door unlocked with a soft click, and the envelope floated from Leo's hands, gliding through the air like a feather carried on a warm breeze. Clara looked up. Her breath caught in her throat as the glowing envelope settled before her. She opened it slowly, her fingers trembling. Inside, she found a small handwritten note. "Your kindness has fed more hearts than you know. Tomorrow, 3 travelers will come to your bakery. They have been dreaming of your bread. Don't give up. Good things are already on their way." A tear rolled down Clara's cheek, but it was one of relief, not sorrow. For the first time in months, her shoulders relaxed, her breath steadied, her eyes softened. The lantern above her flared brighter, filling the bakery with warm light. Then, with a soft whoosh, the world around Leo dissolved again. He found himself back inside the train compartment, the envelope gone, the table empty. Serafina stood waiting with a smile that felt like a hug. "Well done," she said. "Hope delivered." The train hummed, glowing a little brighter, almost as if it had been fed. "One delivery might seem small," she said gently, "but a spark of hope in one heart can light a whole street, a whole town, sometimes even a whole life." Before Leo could reply, another envelope appeared on the table, this one a soft sky blue, sealed with a tiny cloud. Serafina nodded toward it. "Your second delivery." Leo picked it up, warm, beating gently. The mist cleared again, revealing another place below, a quiet hospital wing lit by pale lamps. "This," Serafina said softly, "is for Mara, a nurse who has worked 12 nights in a row. She thinks no one notices her, but they do." The scene below showed Mara sitting alone in a break room, staring at her shoes. Leo felt his throat tight. "These people," he whispered, "they all feel so alone." "That," Serafina said gently, "is why we exist." Leo held the blue envelope close. "Let's go," he whispered. And again the world dissolved, soft light swirling like warm breath on a winter morning. A moment later, Leo was standing in Mara's break room, watching her rub her tired eyes. The envelope glowed brighter, lifting itself into her lap. She blinked, confused, then slowly opened it. Inside was a message written in soft silver ink. "You are seen. You are needed. You are appreciated more than you know. 3 patients whispered your name tonight with gratitude." Mara covered her mouth with her hand as tears filled her eyes, not from sadness, but from finally being reminded of her worth. Her exhaustion softened, her breathing steadied, her shoulders eased. Leo felt the room brighten, as though the message had opened a window where there wasn't one before. And then back to the train. Serafina's eyes sparkled. "2 hearts lighter," she said softly, "and we have many more to go." A third envelope appeared, soft lavender with a tiny raindrop seal. "This one," she whispered, "is for a child afraid of the storm." Leo held the envelope gently. "Let's help them," he said. The train hummed, glowed, and shifted the moment he spoke, as if eager to move toward hope. And the journey continued. Hours, or perhaps only moments, passed in a dreamlike rhythm as the good news train glided across the sky. Elio had delivered hope to a tired baker, a lonely nurse, and a frightened child whose room had been trembling with thunder. With every delivery, the train grew brighter. Its lanterns glowed a deeper gold. The midnight blue walls shimmered like stardust, and the soft hum of the engine became warmer, fuller, like the heartbeat of something alive. Elio felt that same warmth blossoming inside him. "This is beautiful," he whispered as he watched clouds drift beneath the rails. "I didn't know hope could feel like this." Serafina smiled gently. "Hope is the quietest kind of magic. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply waits until someone is ready to receive it." Elio nodded, but something inside him stirred. A quiet ache, a whisper of doubt in a corner of his heart he rarely visited. Before he could speak, the train slowed, not gently like before, but heavily, as if something unseen was pulling at it. A dimness crept through the windows, lanterns flickered. The sky rails darkened from silver to a muted charcoal gray. Elio's breath tightened. "What's happening?" he asked softly. Serafina's expression changed, not with fear, but with a deep, compassionate understanding. "We are nearing the Shadow Station," she said. Elio frowned. "Shadow? It is a station the train must pass at times," she explained. "A place where light dims because someone nearby has forgotten their own." Elio looked out the window. Below the rails was a valley covered in fog so thick it looked like a soft, gray sea. The moonlight barely reached it. Everything felt still, like a dream where sound refuses to enter. The train slowed until it hovered above a dark, silent platform made of stone and mist. The sign was old, cracked, half-lit. "Shadow Station, arrivals unknown. Departures optional." A cold shiver rolled through Elio's spine. "Who lives here?" he whispered. Serafina turned to him, her eyes gentle and full of understanding. "You do." Elio froze. The train doors opened with a slow, creaking sigh, nothing like the warm welcomes before. A chilly breeze drifted inside, carrying the faint scent of rain on forgotten streets. Elio stepped back, unsure. "I don't understand." Serafina placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "There is someone waiting for you on this platform," she said softly. "Someone who has been living in this shadow for a long time. Someone you left behind without realizing it." Elio swallowed tightly. His heart felt heavy, echoing with a quiet pain he hadn't felt in years. "I don't want to go out there," he whispered. "Most don't," Serafina replied. "Because the Shadow Station holds a version of ourselves we don't want to face." Her voice softened even further. "But hope cannot be carried for others if you refuse to carry it for yourself." Elio stared at the open door. The fog, the silence, the heaviness. Then he took a slow breath and stepped outside. The platform was colder than the air inside the train. His footsteps echoed softly against the stones, disappearing into the gray mist. Shapes moved faintly in the fog, memories, worries, whispers of lost moments. And then he saw him. A figure sitting alone on a wooden bench at the center of the platform. Head down, hands clasped tightly, shoulders trembling with a quiet weight. As Leo approached, the figure lifted his face. Leo gasped softly. It was himself, but younger, perhaps 12 years younger, eyes tired, heart heavy, carrying the kind of sadness one learns to hide so well that even they forget it's there. You're me, Leo whispered. The younger Leo nodded slightly. I've been waiting. The fog around them thickened, swirling gently like breath in cold winter air. Leo sat beside his younger self, the version of him who had weathered heartbreak, loneliness, doubt, the version he had tried to move past without truly healing. Why are you here? Leo asked softly. The younger version looked at his hands, voice trembling like a fragile string. Because you left me behind. Leo felt the words hit him like a soft but heavy wave. When things were hard, the younger self continued, you pushed through, you smiled. You told everyone you were fine, but you never looked back to see if I was okay. Leo swallowed the ache in his throat. You kept going, the younger Leo whispered, but I stayed here, stuck with the fears you didn't want to carry. Silence fell. A silence full of pain, but also possibility. Finally, Leo reached out and placed a gentle hand over his younger self's trembling ones. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't know. The younger self looked up, eyes glistening with something raw and human. You don't need to be sorry, he said softly. You just need to take me with you, Leo nodded. I will, he promised. I'm not leaving you here anymore. Slowly, gently, the younger Leo leaned into him, and Leo wrapped his arms around the version of himself he once abandoned. The fog around them began to glow, softly at first, then brighter, warmer, like dawn breaking through the gray. The younger self slowly dissolved into a warm golden light and then into Leo's chest. A warmth spread through him, relief, healing, forgiveness. The platform brightened, the sign glowed again, and the train's lanterns flared back to life. Serafina appeared at the doorway, smiling softly. You've given light to so many tonight, she whispered, but this was the most important delivery of all. Aaliyah wiped a gentle tear from his cheek, breathing easier than he had in years. Let's go home, he murmured. The good news train hummed warmly, ready to move again, and Leo stepped back aboard, lighter, whole, and glowing with newfound warmth. The moment Leo stepped back into the good news train, everything felt different. The lanterns glowed brighter than before, no longer flickering, but steady and warm like the heart of a sunrise. The midnight blue panels along the walls shimmered with tiny constellations that hadn't been there before, as if the train was rewarding him with new starlight. Serafina observed him quietly, her silver hair glowing softly in the warm amber light. You feel it, don't you? She asked gently. Leo nodded. I didn't realize how heavy that part of me was until it wasn't anymore. Serafina smiled. Healing often happens in silence, just like this train. Leo looked around, noticing something else. Each envelope delivered earlier now glowed faintly in places along the hallway walls, like tiny windows holding the memories of those he had helped. Clara the baker, smiling gently at her lantern-lit table. Mara, the nurse, breathing easier as her shoulders finally relaxed. The child beneath the storm, sleeping peacefully with the lavender envelope beside them, all of them illuminated from the inside out. Are these their stories? Aaliyah whispered. Yes, Serafina murmured. Every spark of hope becomes a lantern in the train. These lights guide us through the dark places. She paused, then turned toward the front. There is one more lantern waiting. Leo followed her down the softly glowing hallway toward the engine room. With each step, he felt the train's heartbeat resonate through the floor, steady, strong, comforting. When they reached the front of the train, a wide window opened before them, giving a breathtaking view of the sky rails ahead. But the sky wasn't dark anymore. Instead, the night stretched into a gentle dawn, soft orange and lavender hues washing over the clouds like watercolor. A floating platform appeared in the distance, shining with golden threads of light. It wasn't dim or cracked like the Shadow Station. No, this one looked alive. The sign came into view. Tomorrow's Lantern Station, where new beginnings wait. Leo felt something warm in his chest. "This is our final stop for the night," Serafina said, placing a hand over her heart. "It is not a place for delivering good news, but for receiving it." Leo blinked. "For me," Serafina nodded softly. "For you." The train slowed peacefully, settling onto the golden platform as if descending into a warm embrace. The doors opened with a gentle sigh. Leo stepped out onto the luminous floor, which felt warm under his feet, like sunlight filtered through a dream. The entire station glowed with soft radiance, floating lanterns drifting overhead, each carrying a tiny symbol: a heart, a star, a leaf, a raindrop. As he walked further, he noticed that one lantern glowed brighter than all the others. Gold and white, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. It drifted toward him, floating at eye level. He reached out. The lantern opened with a delicate SHHHH, unfolding like a flower made of starlight. Inside was a single message, written in warm, gentle handwriting. "Dear Leo, tomorrow needs you, not the perfect you, not the brave you, just you, exactly as you are." Something deep inside Leo softened, something old healed, something weary rested, something lost found its way home. He closed his eyes, letting the warmth of the message sink into him like morning sun after a cold night. Serafina's voice spoke gently behind him. "This lantern is your reminder," she said. "You have given light to others, but you must keep some for yourself." Leo turned toward her, feeling tears in his eyes, not sad tears, but the kind that form when a long-forgotten truth finally returns home. "Thank you," he whispered. "You earned it," she replied softly. As they walked back toward the train, the lantern followed Leo like a loyal companion. When he stepped onto the train, it settled above him, glowing softly. A new lantern on the good news train. His lantern. And with that, the train pulled away from tomorrow's Lantern Station, gliding once more along the quiet sky. But this time, the dawn followed them. A promise, a beginning, a gentle truth blooming within Leo's heart.